Welcome to Inner Peace, Better Health, where we explore the deep connection between our well being and our mindset. Today, we are diving into a topic that impacts millions but is rarely discussed with the depth it deserves: hearing loss. I'm your host, Saima, and joining us is Maureen Covinsky, someone who has not only lived through the challenges of hearing loss but has also learned how to thrive. Growing up in a family where hearing loss was common, Maureen adapted early on. She's personally experienced the transition from hearing aids to cochlear implants and built a career that requires her to spend most of her time in the phone, something many would think impossible. So, how does one find inner peace while navigating the frustrations and adjustments of hearing loss? What lessons can we learn from her journey? Let's get right into it. Maureen, many people don't realize how much hearing loss impacts daily life. So, what was the biggest challenge you faced when when your hearing started to decline?
I think really the biggest one was for me. I really I tried to ignore the signs at first, but um, some of the challenges for me when I was growing, when I was still living in Chicago, the Chicago area, was all of a sudden I didn't realize I was missing things. So that's kind of like that was kind of a challenge because I had people in my life that would help me. So it was very easy for me to ignore those signs. So that kind of was a challenge for me to have someone tell me that I needed to get help. So I didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Even as I was growing, I grew up with it and everything. I had a grandfather and mother who had hearing loss, and I knew what the signs were. And so that was early on that was a big challenge for me. Now, this may the challenges in life are basically making the people that come into your sphere know that you have hearing impairment, so or hearing loss, and making sure that they know to like look at you or and not look away from you when when they're talking to you. That if they do call for me and I don't react, it's not because I don't want to, it's because I probably didn't hear them.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you mentally and emotionally adjust to these changes?
Well, I eventually sought help. My parents helped me with that. I got an appointment with an audiologist who at the beginning who diagnosed my hearing loss, and I got hearing aids. And then when I moved out to Arizona, I became a candidate for cochlear implants. So just getting that information and doing that is some of the ways that I cope with it. Um, I also, as I said, I try to make sure I am more open now. I have become more open now in the last few years with my hearing loss and letting people know and even asking for help with things if I need it. Um, so those are some of the coping skills. I also have built a tribe around me of people who understand the issues that I have and accommodate that. And you know, they know like we used to we do Marcos and Marco Polos on the phone and stuff, computer. And at the beginning, they weren't captioned. And found a way to make sure for me that I was comfortable with that and getting captioning on the Marco Polos, which is very great. Is great because there's sometimes after a day of listening and being on the phone for work, as you stated at the beginning, I need time as my kind of what I tell people is my natural self or without my ears on. So that's a great way for me to have some sense of like inner peace and freedom from for me, which is noise. So
It's really incredible how something most of us take for granted, like hearing, can shape us so much of our confidence and social connections. Now, you grew up in a family with hearing loss, right? So, how did that shape your approach to your own journey?
say that again. Now. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
Hmm. You grew up in a family with hearing loss, so how did that shape your approach to your own journey?
Um, I think know, knowing some of the things my mom did or didn't do, as the case may be, has helped me. I've realized that I need to be, more upfront, with my hearing loss and letting people know so that people understand that I'm not like trying to ignore them um, if I don't hear them and stuff like that and things like that. So um, I have brothers who dote on me. Two older brothers who will do just about anything for me. So having that family support also is important.
That's really great. So, did it make things easier or was it still a difficult transition?
So with the family, I mean, I think we were very much aware of hearing loss. Again, you know, my mom started losing her hearing when I was very young. So, and my brothers were, a few years older. So we grew up with it. So I think when I had experienced my own hearing loss, I think it was a little, I would say you have to ask them what it was like, but I think, and they had an easier time because they'd already experienced that with having a mother who had lost their hearing, so or her hearing, sorry. So they were able to adjust probably a little better with mine. Um, I have one, my best friend has been we've been friends since I was like 16. So she's been with me when I've had from when I had my normal hearing and during my hearing loss and even and now. So just having that support is important.
I imagine that, even with understanding, experiencing it with yourself is a whole different challenge, and it's really great. Now, going from hearing aids to cochlear implants is a big step, no doubt. So, what was that transition like for you?
From hearing aids to cochlear implants.
Cochlear implants?
I mean, it was only about 3 years in between when I got my hearing aids. I probably should have had them much earlier than that until cochlear implants. There is a process that you have to go through. You need to go to a specialist, someone audiologist who specializes in cochlear implants, and um, they do testing on your hearing and also the inner components of your ear to make sure that a cochlear implant will work for you. So, like for instance, I can't remember that I was talking to somebody about this yesterday and I didn't look it up. But there's two like little small bones in your ear, and those have to be working for cochlear implants to work. So mine did. So at my appointment, I was told both my ears were equally bad. So I could just choose whichever ear I wanted to do first. And I did my left ear first because I'm right-handed. So, which because I'm right-handed, I wanted to make sure that I would be able to, if I was on a phone and I needed to take notes, I would be able to do that easily. But the road from hearing aids to cochlear implants was um, for the surgery part was relatively easy. Afterwards, it's a lot harder because all of a sudden you're hearing a lot of noise and sounds that you haven't heard in a long time. So you have to learn to differentiate what those are. Um, I think I don't know. I think I was standing in my condo out here, and it doesn't rain much here in Arizona. So um, shortly after my first implant, I was in the living room with my dad and actually both my parents, and my shades were closed and didn't know it was raining. And all of a sudden I heard this like ping, and I didn't know what that was. And I asked my dad what it was, and he said, "Oh, that's the rain bouncing off the gutters." So I'm like, "Oh." So having those adjustments with knowing what sound is coming from and what it is, that takes a lot of work and training, and I'm still doing that. My hearing, even um, I was just telling somebody, I think the anniversary of my first implant is going to be 20 years in July, and I am still learning to differentiate sounds.
Mm-hmm. So, how did auditory rehab help you regain confidence in social and work settings?
Say it again. No? Sorry.
Mm-hmm. How did auditory rehab help you regain confidence in social and work settings?
It helped me because now I can I can hold a conversation with people and understand for the most part what they're saying. I mean, as you can tell, sometimes I do have to ask people to repeat themselves. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's helped me a lot in social situations. Um, Trying to have a conversation with people. So it's helped me with my social connections. I now go out more and do things socially. I was just out last night for a performance at my place of worship. So being that's not something that I would have done even a couple years ago. I have gained that much confidence in the last few years to be able to go to things like that. So that's part of it. I think also again finding my tribe and people who understand me and understand my hearing loss is also has also been really important to my self confidence and um, the freedom that I've given myself in the last few years.
The idea of relearning how to hear is really fascinating, Maureen. It must have taken a lot of patience and determination, right?
Yeah, I mean it takes a lot of practice, a lot of
Mhm.
questions, um, asking people what is that because sometimes you don't know. Um, so what is
Yeah.
that? Just so I know I can identify what is going on and what is going what is out there. So
Yeah, you really have a remarkable journey. Now, many people struggle emotionally with hearing loss. So, what helped you find your inner peace throughout this process?
I think um for my inner peace, I've done a lot of journaling. At the moment, I am actually writing a book on my hearing loss journey. And I just developed the actual title for it in the last month, and it's My Voice Beyond Hearing Loss: How to Discover Confidence, Freedom, and Inner Peace. I'm hoping to finish the first write by the end of this month. So, hoping that I will get that out. um, I'm not sure. I've never written a book before, so I'm not sure what the timeline is in terms of like getting it out there in the world, but hoping that'll be by the summer.
I hope you finish your book fast, and I would love to go through your book, Maureen.
I still have a few chapters that I need to like flesh out a little bit. I have like a couple
Hmm.
little sentences and notes, and then I just need to figure out what part of my journey goes where, under what setting and stuff like under what chapter and stuff like that. So um, I have a cover, so I'm official.
Take your time and write. Okay,
So yeah.
so what advice would you like to give to someone just beginning their hearing loss journey?
Well, I think the most important thing is finding, finding support your support system. Going to if they don't have an audiologist, going to their primary practice provider and say, ask for suggestions. Most places now have a local Hearing Loss Association of America um, location and chapter. So um, you can give them a call, and they'll probably be able to also tell you what is a good audiologist locally for you. So they'll be able to do that evaluation. So that's I think really the first step. Another step is if you are experiencing hearing loss, to make let your loved ones know. Sometimes your loved ones actually probably know before you. And they've probably told you that um, there's something not quite right. So, um, getting that support from them as well is important. So getting the support from your loved ones and friends and finding an audiologist is really the first couple steps that you need to do.
I love that because peace isn't about fixing everything, but about learning how to move forward with grace, right?
Say that again now. Sorry.
Yeah, it's completely okay. Peace isn't about fixing everything, but about learning how to move forward with grace. And
Right.
you have showed.
Oh, yeah, correct. I mean, having inner peace is not, is not about being always calm and collected, but knowing how
Mhm.
to get there is the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you built a career where you spend 90% of your time on the phone, and that's really inspiring. So, how did you make that possible?
Um, I did work retail management for like 36 years. Actually, I was a cashier for the first four, so retail management for 32 years, 4 years as a cashier. I decided during COVID to leave that job, and I went to work for an online pharmacy during COVID, and it was offered as remote work. So to do remote work, it had to be phone work. So I didn't actually know if I could do that job. I hoped I could. And I think a lot of my auditory rehab and my ability to hear over the phone has improved greatly since I started this position. I still sometimes need captioning, and but um, I do really well with it. I do really well. So
Hmm. So, what would you like to say to those who feel like hearing loss is limiting their opportunities?
um, I don't know if hearing loss. I think the only thing that limited me with hearing loss is me. So with me. So I don't really. I think the way to get through limiting beliefs is to feel like and let people let people know and have confidence in yourself that you can do what you need to do. um, I think that's the best way. Limit, as I said, limiting beliefs is not something someone puts on you, it's what you put on you.
So, was there a turning point where you embraced your hearing loss,
A turning
like a
point.
specific one? Yeah.
Um that's a good question, no one's ever asked me that. um
Mhm.
I think a really big turning point in my hearing loss is really getting my cochlear implants. And I mean, there's been a couple. I can't really say which one's the best one. Um, Turning point was when my boss told me that originally what propelled me to get my hearing aids was that I had a boss say that you're not going to get promoted until um, you get your hearing checked. And that's not something that they could probably tell me now, but they could back then. Um, Another one was when I was having trouble with doing my job out here when I first moved here, and getting tested for cochlear implants. That was probably another big turning point. And then I would say the third one professionally would probably have been also the job that I do now. 4 years ago, when I almost 5 years ago now, when I got my job working for the online pharmacy and having to do a lot of phone work. I That's another turning point in my hearing loss journey. Um, and then also, and the last one, lastly, would be the fact that I have the ability now to write my hearing loss story. That's also a major turning point.
That's really remarkable, Maureen. So, do you think that hearing loss has given you any unexpected gifts, such as a deeper connection with yourself?
I think in a way, I mean, I always joke with people that I have the
Hmm.
ability to turn off the world. I can take my cochlear implants off and be in silence. And being able to do that is has been a great addition to my self care, and acknowledging the fact that that is good for me is also been a big part of inner peace, is being able to say, I need this time I do need this time off where I'm not hearing sound. I don't do it when there's other people here that, if I'm not like doing it while I'm at a restaurant with friends or something, but it's like when I'm at home and I say I've had enough sound for the day and I need a break. Being able to recognize that part that needs that break it has been a godsend to me.
That's such a positive way of thinking, Maureen. If everyone in the world would start thinking, the world would become a better place for sure. Like, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self about hearing loss?
For me, if I could go back in time, would probably have been to recognize the signs of hearing loss much earlier and gotten hearing aids much earlier. Excuse me. It would have helped me tremendously in my previous career. Um, I would have not needed the help from my employees that they told me they were giving me. I would have been able to do everything on my own, and there wouldn't have been the frustrations that came with the unheard frustrations that I had at that time. Um, would not have been as much. So, yeah, I mean, looking back, I got my first hearing aids when I was 35. I should have had them much, much sooner. So just having them have looking back and doing that would have been much better for me.
Your story is such a powerful example to all of our listeners. Maureen, your journey is such a testament to resilience. You have shown us that adapting doesn't mean giving up, it means finding new ways to thrive. And to all our listeners, mhm, if today's conversation resonated with you, whether you're facing hearing loss or any life changes that feels overwhelming, remember, peace is possible. It's not about resisting change, but about embracing it with strength and self compassion. Connect with Maureen to learn more about her incredible journey. And as always, keep seeking peace, keep seeking growth, and take care of yourself. And Maureen, your soul is in bloom. Keep spreading your light and wisdom, and I would be delighted to have you back on the show for another conversation.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Warmly welcome. Bye.